With the clock still ticking toward a Monday midnight deadline, neither side is budging in the budget standoff. And as Israelis honor Yitzhak Rabin, the questions about his security continue to mount. This is the CBS Evening News. And this is John Roberts reporting. Good evening. The corridor of power in Washington was echoing with claims and counterclaims today about who is at fault over a possible shutdown of the federal government. At one end of the Pennsylvania Avenue budget battle, Congress. At the other, the White House. Hanging over both a deadline of midnight tomorrow night. Wyatt Andrews reports.
With the federal government poised to partially shut down on Tuesday, the power players in Washington work their hardest today, assigning blame.
We're here because, number one, this Congress is failing to do its business.
The president seems to be prepared to close the government in order to avoid balancing the budget.
Behind the finger-pointing is a serious political divide. Republicans in Congress say they'll agree to fund the government.
The bottom line is we don't want to shut down the government.
But only if the president agrees to balance the budget in 7 years.
I don't see how he's going to convince anyone up here to give him a blank check or an open credit card without any kind of discipline fiscally.
The president has said he'll consider a balanced budget, but not the budget the Republicans have written and not with the government held hostage.
What the president is saying is that I want a balanced budget, but I will not severely cut education. I will not cut environmental programs. The president is against increasing Medicare premiums. That should be debated on its own 2 feet. You should not use the continuing resolution in a coercive way to accomplish that.
On Tuesday, 800,000 federal workers could get forced unpaid leave, but essential workers, from government hospital staffs to air traffic controllers, would still report. Republicans say they would be willing to fund the government for 1 more month, but the law they have proposed has strings attached. It would cancel a planned reduction in Medicare premiums. With the shutdown looming, President Clinton late today invited congressional leaders to the White House tomorrow to try to finesse the Medicare issue and keep the government running. Wyatt Andrews, CBS News, Washington.
A stunning admission by the Israeli security agency Shin Bet today that it had advance information about a plot to assassinate Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and ignored it. The announcement came as the official period of mourning for Rabin came to a close. Bob Simon has the latest from Israel.
It was a day of final farewells, and it began at the sun-strewn cemetery on Mount Herzl overlooking Jerusalem. Military men, cabinet ministers, Mrs. Rabin, and the family filed past a grave marked Lieutenant General Yitzhak Rabin. It was for invited guests only, this simple ceremony today. Over the last 6 days, tens of thousands came to this same place with their flowers and their fury. And while this was happening, the killer's brother, Haggai Amir, appeared in court to be remanded in custody another 12 days. And Israel's Secret Service admitted that in June, the authorities were told of an assassination plot by a friend of Amir's and that the agency decided to ignore it. Later, acting Prime Minister Shimon Peres spoke of the conspirators, who think they are God's messengers, he said, but who are really the devil's disciples. He was speaking at a memorial held by the ruling Labor Party, Friends of Rabin all. But even here, there was more security for Rabin's widow than there ever was for the Prime Minister himself, one way in which Israel has changed forever. In Israel's 48 years as a nation, there was never a gathering as there was tonight. A sea of people, a sea of sadness. A week and a day after that rally in the same Tel Aviv square which began with so much joy. Behind the stage and on placards everywhere, President Clinton's words which have become the phrase of the week. Shalom, Chaver, goodbye, friend. Leah Rabin admonished the people, said they'd let her husband fight alone. Their presence tonight was a promise never to be silent again.
I feel guilty for not supporting him or not showing my support before.
Israel's top rock singers were all there tonight, but there wasn't a cruel person in the crowd. When the angels cry in another world, they sang, in this world it is sadder for us all. Childhood, the poet wrote, is the kingdom where no one dies. Tonight, the newly named Yitzhak Rabin Square was dominated by young people expelled from their kingdom.
According to the Jewish religion, the period of mourning is now over for the Rabin family and for the people of Israel.
Tomorrow morning, Israelis will begin coping with problems perhaps deeper than any they've ever faced before, and without the man best qualified to resolve them. Bob Simon, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Under terms of the latest peace treaty, Israel tonight handed over power to the PLO in Jenin, the first of 7 West Bank cities to be evacuated by year's end. The last Israeli troops leave tomorrow morning. In Gaza, PLO leader Yasser Arafat was the first to register for historic Palestinian elections slated for January. The peace deal calls for an elected president and a legislative and executive council. Still ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, more repercussions from the death of a black man in police custody in suburban Pittsburgh. And a computer high note, the Seattle Symphony plays the internet.
Salad Shooter helps you every day.
How about some cheese for your pizza or perfect salad shooter hash browns for breakfast, vegetables sliced or shredded, and nothing tops a salad like Salad Shooter.
Point and shoot to help you every day.
Presto Salad Shooter electric slicer shredder. So you can fill an omelet, slice a beet, make a soup, top a treat. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, stores anywhere.
Salad Shooter helps you every day.
Original and professional Salad Shooter.
To build something that endures takes hard-working people. People who care. People with vision. And the strength to see the job through. We know. Since 1904, that's how we've built a name for ourselves in financial services. Providian. Insurance, credit, and retirement savings.
This is a really beautiful day. Soup weather. There's this cream of chicken with vegetables from Healthy Choice, and that is rich stuff. Great big vegetables, lean chicken. Just makes you feel good. And only has 2 grams of fat. Beautiful. With Healthy Choice, I can eat what I like.
Breyers has created a spectacular dessert called Viennetta. But this delicious premium ice cream with its crispy chocolatey layers could cause one small problem. Viennetta from Breyers. One slice is never enough.
The space shuttle Atlantis is traveling toward a rendezvous with Mir, the Russian space station. Atlantis, with a crew of 5 on board, blasted through low clouds this morning at the Kennedy Space Center. The trip's goal is a difficult docking with Mir as both nations work toward building a new international space station. Protesters turned out in a suburb of Pittsburgh today, exactly 1 month after an African-American motorist, the cousin of a popular Steelers football player, died in police custody. Jacqueline Adams is there.
Passion simmered in Brentwood, Pennsylvania today. Racial passions, 1 month after the death of African-American businessman Johnny Gamage. He was killed in a scuffle with white policemen after a routine traffic stop. The jury in a coroner's inquest has ruled the death a homicide, but none of the 5 officers involved has yet been charged by the county DA. While Brentwood's police chief stood by, apparently in solidarity, some 100 protesters insisted that the officers be prosecuted for murder.
Local police did their job.
Across the street, though, some of Brentwood's townspeople voiced support for the police.
They're good, fair officers. I've dealt with both. Okay. My friend, we hold them all responsible for the death of Johnny Gamage.
Why? Already, the Allegheny County District Attorney sounds as if he's ruled out first or second degree murder. The evidence, he said, showed that the officers had not intended to kill Gamage. That leaves third-degree murder or involuntary manslaughter. Lesser charges, but enough at this point to satisfy Gamage's family and especially his famous cousin, the owner of the car Gamage was driving, Pittsburgh Steelers defensive tackle Ray Seals.
And once most people understand it, then they'll know that, these guys still are going to pay the price.
I'm deeply sorry that this incident ended the way it did.
Even before any charges are filed, though, one of the officers involved, John Voitas, has launched his own public relations counteroffensive to try and clear his name.
We were just trying to control Mr. Gamage. We were in no way trying to hurt him. We're just trying to effectively make an arrest after the incident started.
Both sides know the pressure will continue until the DA makes a final decision. It's expected in a week or more. Jacqueline Adams, CBS News, Brentwood, Pennsylvania.
The Justice Department is out tonight with a startling study about teenagers and guns. The study shows nearly 1/4 of those arrested for weapons offenses in 1993 were juveniles. Juveniles represented 16% of those arrested in 1974. Weapons arrests for all age categories are up sharply, with the number of juvenile arrests more than doubling since 1985. Alleged sexual abuse of children is at the heart of a scandal that is tearing apart a small northwestern town. One side says as many as 50 children have been victimized. The other side calls the wide-ranging investigation a witch hunt. More on the story now from Jerry Bowen.
You've probably heard about Wenatchee, Washington, the all-American town that by some accounts is actually Sin City, USA, home to a sordid child sex ring.
Please stand if it's not.
15 parents have been sentenced so far over the past year and a half for sexually abusing their kids and trading them to other parents to have sex.
396 months in prison.
That's 33 years for Linda Miller, and next to stand trial is local minister Robbie Robertson and his wife Connie.
When they told me that I was arrested for molesting children and my own daughter, I come unglued.
Robertson's accused of having sex with his 5-year-old daughter and other kids on the church altar of all places, as his congregation watched and cheered, the same altar where he's now working on the legal defense for himself and his wife.
I don't know who the true victims are, but I do know that my daughter is not one, and I do know that a few others who claim to be are not.
What's going on in Wenatchee? Some critics say the same thing that went on here in Los Angeles nearly 12 years ago with the McMartin preschool case. A sensational sex abuse scandal that ended with no convictions and raised concerns about how children can be influenced by investigators and social workers.
The children, even when they say that they have been molested, it's only after they've been in the hands of a CPS worker, the investigating officer, and they've had a chance to work with the children.
In Wenatchee, critics fault Detective Robert Perez for conducting a one-man witch hunt.
Bob Perez said, "We warned you, Robertson, we warned you."
I don't think anybody's been targeted, and I especially reject the idea that anybody's been targeted for speaking out against the investigation.
And while it is true some children have given inconsistent testimony, doctors who've examined the victims say the abuse is undeniable.
This certainly is all extremely plausible and makes perfect sense.
But state officials, including the governor, say something doesn't make sense and are asking for a federal investigation. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Los Angeles.
I'm on the road all season. I don't eat right. Sometimes I get irregular. But I can't let it slow me down, because if I miss a call, I will hear about it. I didn't want to use a harsh chemical laxative. They can hit you suddenly. No time out for that. So I take Metamucil. Metamucil is natural fiber. It works with my body so I can get regular, stay regular, lets me keep focused on the game. So I never miss a call, in my opinion.
Metamucil, the natural choice for regularity.
A sparkling ship on crystal waters is coming.
Absolutely gorgeous. It was so much fun.
The perfect lobster is coming.
Our waiters, they would do anything for us, any time.
Perfection is coming.
Just like a gift from the captain.
Memories are coming. 7 days in Royal Caribbean's Caribbean are coming. You've got some Royal Caribbean coming.
February, the beginning of the long Antarctic winter, when the last plane leaves the South Pole. So does any possibility of outside help. Left behind as the night comes on, the U.S. research station depends on Caterpillar, a world leader in diesel generators, to stay alive, proving when it comes to survival, we're the fittest.
Teenagers hanging out, just something you have to live with, right? Well, not in this town.
You have to do something about the kids hanging out on the street. You have to.
But wait till you hear what the grown-ups did about it.
The town
allowed this to happen to these kids, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
The Town Fathers versus the teens. Did they go too far? Eye on America Monday on the CBS Evening News.
An important case for organized labor is developing in California. At issue was a telemarketing agency owned by the Sprint long-distance company, closed because of a union organizing drive. Lawyers for the National Labor Relations Board say yes. Sprint says it was for economic reasons. That's tonight's Sunday cover, union organizing in the changing face of corporate America.
15 months after she lost her job, Liliette Hiron is still bitter.
I want to see them try to live with 2 children, a husband, in one studio, and try to make ends meet.
Liliette was one of some 200 telemarketers selling Spanish-language telephone service at Sprint's San Francisco facility, La Conexión Familiar.
It was incredibly crazy that you had to raise your hand to go to the bathroom. You were on the phone almost 8 hours a day and you couldn't drink water.
Upset at what they claimed were oppressive working conditions, employees at LCF started a union drive.
¿Cómo se llama ella?
Fernanda Diaz was one of the leaders of the organizing campaign. She says management began harassing the employees.
And they start to ask questions about the union and telling you the union was no good and the union was coming in the spring, they're going to close down the company.
Liliette Hiron says she was asked to spy on fellow employees, go through their desks to find union literature.
I was disgusted. I felt like I was working for the CIA or FBI. I didn't feel like I was a telemarketer anymore.
8 days before a vote to bring in the union, Sprint did what its LCF managers said would happen and closed the facility. The National Labor Relations Board claimed the closure was illegal to circumvent the union. But in court, Sprint successfully argued LCF was closed because it was hemorrhaging money.
The union election had no impact whatsoever on closing LCF. LCF was closed for financial reasons. We were losing $4 million a year.
The judge did find, though, that LCF managers broke the National Labor Relations Act by harassing and intimidating employees. 13 months after the office was closed, Sprint was ordered to cease and desist from threatening or interrogating employees and creating the impression that their union activities were under surveillance.
You do encourage your managers, do you not, to try to keep the union out?
No.
But this former Sprint manager, who left the company in a dispute last year, says he was encouraged to keep his office union-free.
We had union avoidance training. All management went through that training. And as union activities intensified, then so would the training.
Sprint claims that is not the case, and that this confidential union-free management guide obtained by CBS News is no longer policy.
That document was prepared by a person, some people that believed that was the right attitude and a stronger approach than what today is believed is appropriate.
Economist William Dickens says, across the board, today's corporate response to union organizing is worse than it's been in decades.
They don't accept the fact that they have to deal with unions. They feel that they can operate union-free, and they don't see the law as being a major barrier to their doing so.
NLRB Chairman William Gould says, in many cases, even if companies are caught breaking the law, penalties are so light, the benefit outweighs the cost.
We see a vacuum where employers are well-financed and well-represented, but employees are completely impotent in the workplace.
The NLRB has been asked to review the judge's decision in the Sprint case and could appeal it, seeking stronger punishment. Something Liliette Hiron hopes would send a message to corporate America.
I think if they reverse the decision, that it would show to a lot of companies, organizations who are abusing their workers, that this is not going to happen anymore.
For its part, the Sprint company tells CBS News it is now reviewing the NLRB legal briefing that calls for reversing the judge's decision. Sprint says it has not yet determined how it will respond.
Anybody can service automobiles, but you're going to be able to take care of the customer. You can prescribe the
over bumps, or do you?
Definitely over a bump. They come in to see me because they need something to be fixed. They want me to take care of them. Everybody has different problems. Everybody has different needs.
See the way we're doing this? Move it back.
The quality care standards. It just opens up that communication, lets people know that we care.
Quality care people, quality care standards at your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer.
Wait, that's a prune.
It is. Prunes are sweet, moist, delicious.
Sounds tempting.
Gotcha.
California prunes. Let your mouth make your mind up.
The Braun Oral-B Plaque Remover has a unique cup-shaped brush head that removes plaque more effectively than a manual toothbrush, leaving your teeth so clean you can feel it. The Braun Oral-B Plaque Remover cleans better than a manual toothbrush.
If heartburn shows up when you lie down, it may not be just heartburn. It may be something different. Doctors call it acid reflux, and you need something different. You need regular Gaviscon. Only Gaviscon forms a protective barrier that helps keep stomach acid down, where it belongs. Mylanta can't, Pepcid AC can't. Gaviscon is the only medicine you can buy without a prescription that can. So to help stop reflux pain from acting up when you lie down, get Gaviscon. It's different from here all the way to here.
The Balkans peace process bore its first fruit today. The U.S. ambassador and the United Nations mediator were present as rebel Serbs agreed to give up their remaining territory in Croatia. The two diplomats then went on to Zagreb, where Croatian officials signed the deal worked out at talks in Dayton, Ohio. After weeks of intense speculation and anticipation, retired General Colin Powell announced last week that he will not run for president next year. That's the focus of Joe Klein's commentary this week.
Sure fooled me, sure fooled a lot of us, and disappointed a lot of us as well. Colin Powell's decision not to try to live back over there raised some deep questions about the quality of our public life. It may have taught us a few lessons as well. Bill Clinton probably isn't too sad about this turn of events, but the Democratic Party doesn't have all that much to cheer about.
I'm very impressed by what the Republican Party is trying to do right now.
Actually, a lot of Republicans don't have all that much to cheer about either. We've learned this fall that the loudest voices in the GOP aren't necessarily the strongest voices.
At a minimum, social conservatives would not feel welcome in a Republican Party headed by General Powell, and I believe other conservatives would also feel that way.
Colin Powell proved there's a market for moderation in the Republican Party. It's a lesson Bob Dole should probably take to heart. More important is what we may have learned about ourselves as Americans and what we're looking for from our leaders.
Show leadership, be a conciliator, move the country forward toward lower government, less government.
We are desperate for someone who stands up, speaks clearly, seems rational, knows his mind. The experts say that never happens. Americans are never satisfied with their presidential choices. Abraham Lincoln was thought to be a country bumpkin going in. Franklin Roosevelt was said to be a lightweight. And it's true, Colin Powell probably wouldn't have seemed so fresh after a couple of months of the down and dirty as he did last week. But you've got to wonder about the health of a process when so many good people are quitting politics or refusing to run. You have to wonder about a process that forces politicians to spend most of their time groveling for money and subjects them to a personal strip search most normal people wouldn't tolerate.
My wife has depression. She's had it for many, many years, and we have told many, many people about it. It is not a family secret.
We in the media especially should think about our role in this circus. This week we learned the Colin Powell candidacy was a mirage. But the great American political desert is very real. In Washington, I'm Joe Klein.
It was the tale of two once and current champions today in the New York City Marathon. Mexico's Herman Silva repeated last year's win, finishing first again on a day of record cold temperatures. It was also the second triumph in a row for Kenya's tiny Tegla Larupe, all 85 pounds of her, winning the women's race by 750 meters.
Finally, great popcorn from your microwave. Power Pop. Presto Power Pop Microwave Multi-Popper. Exclusive power-based concentrates microwaves to pop virtually every kernel. Pop with oil for a buttery flavor. Power Pop. Pop without oil for a healthier, low-fat snack. A third cup of popcorn, 3 quarts of crunch. Other microwave poppers can't measure up. See? Dishwasher safe, too. Nothing pops like Power Pop. That's why it's endorsed by Orville Redenbacher.
Power Pop puts power in the pop.
From Presto.
Suppose you had a friend who drove a BMW and he was looking at your new Bonneville.
Let me drive it.
And you stood there as he accelerated away.
I love that sound.
He'd learned that with over 200 horsepower, it's one of the fastest performance sedans in the world.
Hey, I like it. Tighten the curves.
And he'd learned something else.
How much was it? That's all?
The new Pontiac Bonneville. Driving passion is now within reach.
To build something that endures takes hard-working people. People who care. People with vision. And the strength to see the job through. We know. Since 1904, that's how we've built a name for ourselves in financial services. Providian. Insurance, credit, and retirement savings.
Teenagers hanging out, just something you have to live with, right? Well, not in this town.
You have to do something about the kids hanging out on the street. You have to.
But wait till you hear what the grown-ups did about it.
The town allowed this to happen to these kids, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
The town fathers versus the teens. Did they go too far? Eye on America Monday on the CBS Evening News.
In most cities, when major companies sponsor a benefit concert, it's held in an old-fashioned auditorium. But this benefit was held in Seattle, headquarters of high tech. And the audience for this performance was, appropriately enough, on the internet. Russ Mitchell reports.
An unlikely combination of musicians and instruments.
Even though they're shot with the 420, that shouldn't be a problem?
No.
Okay, cool.
It just becomes a dumb terminal.
Tuned up with the Seattle Symphony this weekend for the first orchestral performance on the World Wide Web.
It's kind of a combination between early TV and radio of the future.
The multimedia event featured Guns N' Roses guitarist Slash playing Jimi Hendrix and grunge songs by Pearl Jam and Nirvana. Sound accompanied by digital photos and images uplinked live into cyberspace.
There is no boundary for someone in Dubuque or in Dubai, to dial in and experience this incredible event.
But unlike TV and radio, a website has limited space for users. So even though access to the internet is free, it's like a theater. Once sold out, or all the space is gone, you can't get in.
No.
That's why about 1,000 users like Michelle Morell were left without a seat, even though she had signed up for CyberTix.
Hopefully somewhere out there people are getting this over the internet.
It's not going to be a true mass medium until anyone can turn on the computer and find what they want just as easily as they turn on the TV and press a remote control.
And while technology has improved greatly since the Rolling Stones tried a concert over the net a year ago, these performers believe a few more years of practice will make perfect. Russ Mitchell, CBS News, New York.
And that's the news later on CBS 60 Minutes. And tomorrow's CBS This Morning begins a week-long tour of the great state of Texas. I'm John Roberts, CBS News in New York. Good night.
CBS News. Have you seen your country today?
Nobody blows smoke at you like the tobacco industry. What they've done to keep the public from knowing all there is to know about cigarettes. Tonight on 60 Minutes.
Here on CBS.